Hey guys, my name is David, and my teammates are James and Paul. Today we'll be talking about optimizing fan travel during the World Cup this summer. As we all know, the World Cup is taking place in North America this summer, and in the United States, will be 11 different cities hosting the World Cup. According to FIFA, there will be more than 10 million fans traveling to the United States this summer. So, for example, if you're supporting Ecuador, and you will be potentially traveling to 8 different cities. If all things fall in places, that means Ecuador going to the quarterfinals, I think. So that can be a lot of traveling, and you have to plan ahead of all the flights, and you got to think about the carbon emissions. So it's gonna be a lot of constraints within these different decisions. From different perspective, you always want the best game experience. For fans, you want to minimize the cost potentially. For travel managers, you want to minimize the distance that your players are traveling. And for the players, you want to prevent fatigue, so you want to minimize the total travel time. However, for FIFA workers, you want to maximize the location to promote your tournament. So there's a lot of different constraints and different objectives within these different perspectives. What are some potential computational implementations over here?
One of the most important ways to really look at this is from the perspective of the fans. Now, given that the fans are the majority of the people interacting with the World Cup and that they also do have the tightest budgets, their main concern will be getting from location to location with the cheapest cost possible. And this might disregard emissions. Now, with transportation costs rising for the World Cup, such as the $150 New Jersey Transit train from New York City, from Manhattan to MetLife Stadium, fans will have to opt for the cheapest possible transportation, which might put emissions levels at a lower consideration. Now, how this is going to produce different results is when you're optimizing for emissions, you're going to choose the shortest travel distance on the most fuel efficient vehicle, whether that's a plane, a train, or so forth. And this might be a direct flight straight from Mexico City to New York City. But if you're trying to get from Mexico City to New York City and you're optimizing for cost, like most fans will, you're going to choose the cheapest total ticket price, which will disregard the travel distance or the fuel efficiency. So it might take place on a connecting flight that travels a further distance or on an older aircraft.
Building on the trade-off we just showed, our own project formally models travel problem using emissions as the main objective. We look at a simplified case where a fan wants to attend matches across four cities: Mexico City, Dallas, Atlanta, and New York or New Jersey. We define E sub ij as emissions from traveling from city I to city J, and X sub ij as a binary variable that equals 1 if the travel leg is chosen and 0 otherwise. Our objective is to minimize total emissions across the route. We also include basic constraints so the itinerary is valid. The fan leaves each city once, arrives at each city once, cannot travel from a city to itself, and each decision is binary. So after setting up our model, we can see why this fits our course well. A route that looks sufficient in miles is not always the one with the lowest environmental cost. For example, the model could compare a route like Mexico City to Dallas to Atlanta to New York against other possible sequences and determine which one gives the lowest total emissions. The exact best route depends on the emissions assigned to each travel leg, but the key point is that the model gives us a systematic way to evaluate those options instead of just guessing. That is what makes this a computational sustainability problem. It takes a real environmental issue and turns it into a structured optimization problem. Overall, our project shows that fan travel at the World Cup is not just a logistic issue. It is a set of route choices that with real environmental impacts and computational methods help making those trade-offs more visible and easy. Here are our references. Thank you.